The stars above Earth suddenly filled with alien ships. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small blue planet that had caused so much trouble. His 4 arms moved across the control panels as he counted the vessels in his fleet. 50,000 warships from 12 different species, all here for one purpose. Send the message, he told his communications officer. On Earth, President Chen Wei-lin sat in the Global Defense Council chambers. The room was silent as the alien transmission came through the speakers. The voice was cold and mechanical, translated by their computers. People of Earth, I am Admiral Kethvar, of the Hegemony of Aligned Worlds. We have watched your species for 300 years. You have spread too fast across the galaxy. You are dangerous. Chen looked at the other council members. General Morrison shifted in his chair. Dr. Sarah Okafor kept her face calm, but her hands were tight on the table. Your species achieved faster than light travel only 200 years ago, the alien voice continued. Yet you have colonies on 47 worlds. Other civilized species took thousands of years to reach such expansion. You are like a virus, spreading without control. The transmission paused. Chen could hear her own heartbeat in the silence. We offer you a choice. Submit to technological regression. Give up your advanced weapons and ships. Accept permanent quarantine to your home system. Live as primitives under our watch, or face complete destruction. You have 72 hours to decide. The communication ended. The room stayed quiet for long moments. How many ships do they have? Chen asked. Our deep space sensors count 50,000 vessels, General Morrison said. Our entire defense fleet is only 3,000 ships. We're outnumbered more than 16 to 1. Dr. Okafor finally spoke. What about their technology levels? Superior to ours in most areas, Morrison replied. Their shields are stronger. Their weapons have longer range. Their ships are faster. He paused. In a direct fight, we would lose badly. Chen stood up and walked to the window. She could see the moon in the afternoon sky, pale and distant. Have they made any demands to other human colonies? Yes, Madam President. Similar ultimatums have been sent to all our settlements. The aliens have positioned fleets at every human world, so this is coordinated. They want to end human expansion completely. It appears so, Morrison said. They see us as a threat to galactic stability. Chen turned back to the council. I need to address the people of Earth. They deserve to know what we're facing. She looked directly at Dr. Okafor. Sarah, I'll need you to prepare contingency plans. Okafor nodded. Of course, Madam President. 2 hours later, Chen stood before cameras that would broadcast her words to every human settlement in the galaxy. She wore her formal blue suit, the same one she had worn when accepting the presidency 5 years ago. Behind her hung the flag of United Earth, its blue and green colors bright under the studio lights. My fellow humans, both on Earth and across the stars, she began. Today we received an ultimatum from an alien coalition called the Hegemony of Aligned Worlds. They have positioned 50,000 warships above our planet and demand our surrender. She paused, letting the words sink in. Across Earth, people stopped their work to listen. On the colonies, families gathered around communication screens. They want us to give up our technology and accept imprisonment in our own solar system. They believe human expansion threatens their version of galactic peace. They have given us 72 hours to surrender or face annihilation. Chen's voice remained steady, though inside she felt the weight of billions of lives depending on her next words. I will not lie to you. Their fleet is larger than ours. Their technology appears superior. In traditional warfare, they hold every advantage. She looked directly into the camera. But we are not a traditional species. We have never accepted defeat when the stakes were high. We will not start now. She took a breath. In the coming hours, our military leaders will explore all options. We will seek any path that preserves human freedom and dignity. But I want every human to understand this clearly. We will not accept slavery. We will not abandon our colonies. We will not bow to alien masters who think they can decide our fate. The broadcast ended. Chen walked quickly from the studio to a secure elevator that took her deep underground. The hidden command center was 300 meters below the presidential mansion. Dr. Okafor was already there, standing before a massive communication array. "Are you ready?" Chen asked. Okafor's fingers moved over the controls. "Project Artemis has been waiting for this day for 150 years, and if it doesn't work, then humanity dies free instead of living as slaves." Okafor looked up at Chen. "But it will work. We've planned for every detail." Chen nodded. "Send the message." Okafor typed a simple phrase into the communication system. The message was encrypted with codes known only to a select few humans across the galaxy. It would reach Luna Base in seconds, then be relayed to every human colony world within hours. The message was short. "The moon is bright tonight. Above Earth." Admiral Kethvar watched his sensors for any sign of human military activity. The primitive humans had 70 hours left to surrender. He expected them to spend that time in panic and desperation. Their small fleet was already moving into defensive positions around their homeworld. It was exactly what he had predicted. "Admiral," his tactical officer said, "we're detecting some unusual seismic activity from the human moon." Kethvar looked at the readings. Minor vibrations, probably from their lunar mining operations. "Ignore it. The humans are probably trying to hide their leadership in underground bunkers. It's a natural response." What the Admiral didn't know was that the seismic activity was just beginning. Deep inside Luna, massive machines that had waited for 1.5 centuries were starting to move. The greatest secret in human history was about to reveal itself. The countdown to humanity's revelation had begun. The tremors in Luna started small. Admiral Kethvar's sensors showed tiny movements in the moon's surface, like small earthquakes. His science officer reported them as normal geological activity. "The human satellite is tectonically active," the officer said, "probably from their mining operations. Nothing to concern us." But the shaking grew stronger. Within 6 hours, the vibrations could be seen from Earth with basic telescopes. On Luna Base, the human staff evacuated to deep shelters according to protocols they had practiced thousands of times. Dr. Sarah Okafor watched from the underground command center on Earth. Massive screens showed data from sensors placed throughout Luna over the past century. Everything was going exactly as planned. "Phase 1, complete," reported Commander Hayes, the military liaison to Project Artemis. "All personnel are in safe positions. Structural supports are holding perfectly. Begin Phase 2, Okafor ordered. High above Earth, the alien fleet watched as Luna's surface began to crack. At first, the cracks looked random, like any moon suffering from internal stress. But Admiral Kethvar's tactical computer began to notice patterns. "Sir," his navigation officer said, his voice uncertain, "the fracture lines. They're too regular. Too geometric." Kethvar studied the display. The cracks were forming perfect lines across Luna's surface. They weren't random at all. They looked almost like construction joints. "Increase sensor focus on the human satellite," he ordered. "I want detailed scans of every square kilometer." What his sensors found made no sense. The cracks were revealing metal underneath the rock and dust. Not small pieces of metal like crashed ships or mining equipment, vast sheets of constructed material, as if Luna's surface was just a thin shell covering something artificial. "That's impossible," Kethvar said. "Natural satellites don't have metal cores in geometric patterns." His science officer was running calculation after calculation. "Admiral, the readings suggest the entire satellite is hollow. The rock layer is only 50 to 100 meters thick in most places. Below that," he paused, checking his instruments again. "Below that appears to be empty space and artificial structures." The cracks widened. Huge sections of Luna's surface began to move, sliding away like the petals of a massive flower opening. Beneath the familiar gray rock, something gleamed in the sunlight. On Earth, President Chen stood beside Dr. Okafor in the command center. "How long until they can see what's inside?" 15 minutes for full exposure of Section Alpha, another hour for complete reveal." Chen nodded. "And our people?" Every human in the fleet has been training for this their entire lives. They're ready. Above them, Luna continued its transformation. The first section to fully open revealed what looked like massive docking bays carved into the satellite's interior. But these weren't empty caves. They were filled with ships. Admiral Kethvar stared at his display screen. The human ships emerging from Luna weren't like the crude vessels in Earth's known fleet. These were sleek, advanced craft, with smooth hulls that seemed to bend light around them. Their design was unlike anything in the alien databases. "How many vessels are we seeing?" he asked. His tactical officer was silent for a long moment. "The first bay contains approximately 10,000 ships, sir. And there appear to be multiple bays opening," said. More sections of Luna opened. Each revealed another vast chamber filled with human vessels. The ships began to move, flowing out of their hidden berths with perfect coordination. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. It's directed specifically to you." We. The main screen changed to show a human in military uniform. He was older than most humans Kethvar had seen, with gray hair and calm eyes. His uniform bore symbols the Admiral didn't recognize. "Admiral Kethvar," the human said. "I am Fleet Admiral Marcus Torres, commanding officer of the Human Defense Initiative. I believe we need to discuss new terms." Kethvar found his voice. "What is the meaning of this deception? Your species reported only 3,000 combat vessels." Torres smiled slightly. "We reported the size of our patrol fleet, which was accurate. We never mentioned our main battle fleet. You never asked." The alien admiral looked at his tactical displays. The numbers kept climbing as more ships emerged from Luna. 50,000. 100,000. 200,000. "This is impossible," Kethvar said. "Your species achieved spaceflight only 500 years ago. Building a fleet this size would require resources from dozens of worlds." "We've been busy," Torres replied. "And we've been patient. Every human colony you've been watching has contributed materials, personnel, and technology to this project. We've been preparing for this conversation for 150 years." More sections of Luna opened. The satellite was revealing itself to be completely hollow, filled with level after level of docking bays. Each bay held thousands of ships. The familiar moon that had hung over Earth for millions of years had been secretly converted into the largest military installation in known history. Kethvar's science officer was frantically updating his counts. "Admiral, we're detecting over 500,000 vessels now. The interior appears to extend through the entire satellite." "Continue monitoring," Kethvar ordered. He opened a private communication channel to Torres. "What are your demands?" "No demands, Admiral. An offer. Your coalition has 71 hours remaining on your ultimatum to us. I'd like to present a counterproposal." The alien admiral watched his screens as more human ships continued to emerge. His 50,000 vessels suddenly seemed very small. "What kind of counterproposal?" "The hegemony has offered us technological regression and permanent quarantine. In return, we offer the hegemony immediate withdrawal from human space and a guarantee of non-interference in human affairs." Kethvar's tactical computer was now estimating over 800,000 human vessels. "And if we refuse?" Torres's expression didn't change. "Then we'll demonstrate why this conversation should proceed differently than your ultimatum suggested." As if to emphasize the point, squadrons of human fighters began performing training exercises around the alien fleet. They moved with impossible precision, weaving between the larger alien ships in formations that displayed both perfect coordination and individual skill. "Your pilots are impressive," Kethvar admitted. "Thank you. They've been training in these exercises since childhood, as has every human currently crewing these vessels." The alien admiral realized he was looking at the result of multiple generations of planning. Every human involved in this project had been preparing their entire lives for this single moment. "How long?" he asked quietly. "How long what? How long has your species been planning this?" Torres considered the question. "Active construction began 152 years ago. planning and resource gathering started about 50 years before that. We've been waiting for this conversation for 2 centuries. Admiral Kethvar looked at his display one more time. The count had passed 1 million human vessels and was still climbing. Luna was nearly fully opened, revealing the true scope of humanity's deception. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kethvar began to understand that his fleet was not the hunter. They were the hunted. Admiral Kethvar stared at his tactical display as the numbers continued to climb. What had started as thousands of human ships emerging from Luna was now approaching 2 million vessels. His science officer kept updating the count, each new number more impossible than the last. "Sir," the tactical officer said, his voice shaking, "the human satellite appears to have at least 40 more levels of docking bays. Our computers estimate each level contains between 20 and 30,000 vessels." Fleet Admiral Torres appeared calm on the communication screen. He watched his own ships deploying into perfect formation around the alien fleet. Each human vessel moved to exact coordinates, creating geometric patterns that demonstrated absolute precision and planning. "Impressive organization," Kethvar said, trying to maintain his composure. "But numbers alone don't determine battle outcomes." "You're absolutely right," Torres agreed. "Shall we discuss technology levels?" A squadron of human destroyers moved past Kethvar's flagship. As they passed, the alien sensors tried to analyze their construction. The readings made no sense. The human ships appeared to be using materials and energy systems that surpassed anything in the hegemony databases. "Your armor composition is unusual," Kethvar observed. "Adaptive nanocrystalline matrices with quantum-bonded structural support," Torres said casually. "We developed it about 80 years ago. Would you like technical specifications?" Kethvar's science officer was analyzing the sensor data frantically. "Admiral," he whispered, "those armor readings suggest protection levels 3 times higher than our best battleships." The alien admiral kept his expression neutral. "And your weapons?" A human cruiser nearby powered up its main guns for a targeting test. The energy readings that flooded Kethvar's sensors were impossible. The human ship was generating more power than most alien dreadnoughts, but it was only a mid-sized vessel. "Phase-coherent plasma accelerators with quantum targeting matrices," Torres explained. "Effective range is approximately 4 times that of standard galactic weapons." "Penetration capability." He paused. "Well, perhaps we'll leave that as a surprise." Luna continued opening like a massive mechanical flower. Each new section revealed more impossible numbers of ships. The count passed 5 million, then 10 million. Kethvar's fleet of 50,000 vessels was becoming an increasingly small dot surrounded by an ocean of human ships. "This is impossible," Kethvar said finally. "Building this many vessels would require the resources of hundreds of worlds. You only have 47 colonies." 47 known colonies, Torres corrected. "We've been somewhat modest in our reporting to galactic authorities." The alien admiral felt cold understanding creeping through his mind. "How many worlds do you actually control?" "Control is a strong word. We prefer to think of it as presence. Humans currently maintain settlements, mining operations, or research stations on approximately 630 worlds. Kethvar's communication officer nearly dropped his equipment. 600. That's impossible. Our surveys show no human presence on that many systems. Torres smiled slightly. Your surveys are quite good. But humans are excellent at staying hidden when necessary. Most of our settlements are underground or in asteroid fields. We've found that other species tend to overlook what they're not specifically looking for. The revelation was staggering. For 3 centuries, the hegemony had been watching human expansion, thinking they understood the scope of it. In reality, they had seen less than 10% of humanity's true presence in the galaxy. Every one of those worlds has been contributing to this project, Torres continued. Materials, personnel, technological development, ship construction. What you're seeing here is the result of coordinated effort across hundreds of human settlements. The count of human ships reached 50 million. Luna was now 3/4 open, revealing the true scale of its interior construction. The familiar satellite had been completely hollowed out and converted into a vast military complex that dwarfed anything the aliens had ever imagined. "But this is just Luna," Torres said, as if reading Kethvar's thoughts. "Would you like to know about our other installations?" Before the alien admiral could respond, his long-range sensors began detecting activity throughout the solar system. Every major asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter was showing similar seismic activity to what Luna had displayed. They weren't asteroids at all. "The asteroid belt?" Kethvar asked weakly. 43 additional construction and deployment facilities, Torres confirmed. Each one smaller than Luna, but still substantial. "We've found that hiding in plain sight works remarkably well." Across the galaxy, similar alerts began reaching Kethvar from the other hegemony fleets positioned at human colonies. Every human world was experiencing the same phenomenon. What had appeared to be normal planets with small settlements were revealing vast hidden military installations. The communication from Admiral Thexlon at the Proxima Centauri colony was typical. "Admiral, the human settlement here just opened. The entire planet appears to be a military base. Ships are emerging from underground facilities across all 7 continents." Number 1. Similar reports came in from dozens of human worlds. Each colony had been hiding fleets numbering in the millions. The humans had converted entire planets into shipyards and military bases, while maintaining the appearance of peaceful agricultural and research settlements. Kethvar did the calculations in his mind. If every human world was hiding similar installations, the numbers became astronomical. "How many ships do you actually have?" he asked quietly. Torres consulted a display that Kethvar couldn't see. "Final count from Luna will be approximately 400 million vessels. Similar counts from our other solar system installations will add another 200 million. Planetary installations average about 8 million ships each." The alien admiral's computer completed the mathematics. With over 600 human worlds, each hiding military installations, over 1 billion combat vessels, Kethvar said, his voice barely a whisper. 1,043 million. To be precise, Torres confirmed. Though that doesn't count our support vessels, transport ships, or construction craft. Those add another 500 million to the total. The scale was beyond anything the hegemony had ever imagined. The entire alien coalition had never built that many ships in their combined history. Humanity had constructed the largest military force in known galactic civilization, and they had done it in secret. "This changes everything," Kethvar said. "Yes, it does," Torres agreed. "Which is why I think we should discuss new arrangements. Your ultimatum offered us 72 hours to surrender or face destruction. I'd like to present alternative terms." Around the alien fleet, human ships continued deploying into perfect formation. They weren't aggressive or threatening. They simply surrounded the aliens completely, demonstrating that escape was impossible and resistance would be futile. "What terms?" Kethvar asked. "Simple ones," Torres replied. "The hegemony withdraws all forces from human space immediately. You return to your home systems and forget that this conversation ever happened. In return, we forget that you threatened the existence of our species." The alien admiral looked at his tactical display one final time. The human fleet stretched beyond the range of his sensors in every direction. His 50,000 ships were lost in a sea of over 1 billion human vessels, each one apparently superior to anything the aliens possessed. For the first time in hegemony history, it was the aliens who were outgunned, outnumbered, and completely at the mercy of another species. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity held all the advantages. Admiral Kethvar tried to maintain his dignity as he faced the impossible situation. His 50,000 ships were surrounded by over 1 billion human vessels, but he was a military commander with 300 years of experience. He would not surrender without understanding his true position. "Admiral Torres," he said formally, "I need to consult with my coalition partners before responding to your terms." "Of course," Torres replied. "Take all the time you need. We're very patient." Kethvar opened communication channels to the other 11 species commanders in his fleet. The conversations were brief and panicked. Admiral Zestak of the Vorthak Collective was the first to speak. "This is a trap," she said. "We cannot trust these humans. They have deceived the entire galaxy for centuries. Commander Rildar of the Kiris Federation agreed. Their numbers are impressive, but they are still a young species. Their technology cannot match our combined knowledge. Admiral Toxlan of the Melton Empire was more direct. We cannot show weakness. If we retreat now, every species in the galaxy will see the hegemony as defeated by primitives. Kethvar listened to the arguments. His fellow commanders were right about one thing. Retreating would damage hegemony authority throughout the galaxy. But he was also looking at sensor readings that suggested human technology was far more advanced than anyone had realized. Very well, he finally said. We test their capabilities. If they are truly superior, we withdraw. If their strength is mostly numbers and deception, we proceed with the original plan. The decision made, Kethvar turned back to his communication with Torres. Admiral, my coalition requires a demonstration of capabilities before considering your terms. Torres nodded as if he had expected this response. I understand. What kind of demonstration would be appropriate? Combat maneuvers. A limited engagement to test relative technologies and tactics. Very well. Shall we say 1,000 ships from each side? No weapons targeting crew areas, just disabling shots to prevent unnecessary loss of life. Kethvar agreed. He selected his best vessels, heavy cruisers from the Zenthari Empire, fast destroyers from the Kiris Federation, and assault ships from the Vorthak Collective. Each ship was crewed by experienced warriors and equipped with the finest weapons in hegemony space. The human ships that moved to meet them were smaller than expected. Captain Elena Vasquez commanded the lead human vessel, a ship called Defiant Thunder that was barely half the size of a Zenthari cruiser. Her squadron of 50 ships faced 200 alien vessels in the first engagement. Begin, Torres said simply. The aliens attacked first, using standard hegemony tactics. They formed a wall of heavy ships, while faster vessels moved to flank the human formation. It was a proven strategy that had won thousands of battles across the galaxy. It lasted exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Captain Vasquez's ship demonstrated capabilities that made no sense to alien understanding. As Zenthari plasma bolts struck her vessel, the armor seemed to shift and adapt, changing its composition to better resist each weapon type. The human ship's defense systems learned from each attack and became stronger. Impossible, Admiral Kethvar muttered, watching his best weapons become less effective with each shot. But the human defenses were only the beginning. Defiant Thunder's return fire consisted of weapons the aliens had never seen. Quantum torpedoes that phased through enemy shields as if they didn't exist. Energy beams that curved around obstacles to strike targets from impossible angles. Projectile weapons that split into multiple warheads, each one seeking a different target. 3 Zenthari cruisers fired simultaneously at the human ship. Vasquez's vessel performed maneuvers that violated several laws of physics, as the aliens understood them. It twisted through space in ways that should have torn any ship apart, but the human vessel's structure seemed to bend with the movement. How are they moving like that? Admiral Kethvar demanded. His science officer was frantically analyzing the sensor data. Sir, their ships appear to have some kind of flexible structure. The hull adapts to stress patterns, and their propulsion system, it's not reaction-based. They're manipulating space-time directly. The human ship destroyed all 3 Zenthari vessels in a single coordinated attack. Each enemy ship was hit simultaneously by different weapon types, overwhelming their defenses instantly. The alien crews had time to evacuate before their ships were disabled, but the speed of the engagement was stunning. Across the battle area, similar scenes played out. Human ships moved like schools of predatory fish, coordinating their attacks with perfect precision while maintaining individual tactical creativity. They communicated constantly, sharing targeting data and tactical adjustments in real time. Admiral Thexlon tried to rally his forces by concentrating fire on a single human vessel. 12 alien ships targeted 1 human destroyer. The human ship's response was to call for support from its squadron mates. 6 other human vessels immediately shifted position, creating overlapping defensive fields around their threatened comrade. The alien weapons struck a barrier of coordinated energy shields that distributed the damage across multiple ships, Meanwhile, all 7 human vessels returned fire simultaneously. The 12 alien ships were destroyed in less than 30 seconds. They fight like a single organism, Kethvar observed. But each ship makes independent tactical decisions. It's not possible, Admiral Zestak said, over the communication channel. No species can achieve that level of coordination without sacrificing individual initiative. But humans were proving that assumption wrong. Each ship captain made creative tactical decisions while maintaining perfect coordination with their allies. They seemed to anticipate each other's actions without limiting their own responses. Captain Vasquez engaged a Vorthak assault carrier, a massive ship designed to overwhelm opponents through brutal firepower. The carrier launched 40 fighter craft while its main guns targeted the much smaller human destroyer. Vasquez's response was elegant and devastating. Her ship deployed what appeared to be a cloud of metallic dust around the attacking fighters. The dust turned out to be millions of micro-drones, each one capable of independent action. The fighter squadron was disabled in seconds, their systems overloaded by coordinated electronic attacks from the drone swarm. The assault carrier found itself facing weapons fire from 12 different directions as the drones repositioned themselves around the alien ship. Meanwhile, Defiant Thunder attacked the carrier's main weapons directly, using precisely targeted quantum torpedoes that removed specific systems without damaging the crew areas. Combat efficiency, 97%, Torres announced calmly. All alien vessels disabled. 0 human casualties. Total engagement time, 8 minutes, 12 seconds. Admiral Kethvar stared at his display. 1,000 of his best ships had been completely defeated by a much smaller human force. The aliens hadn't managed to destroy a single human vessel or cause any crew casualties. Your technology levels exceed our estimates, he admitted. By how much? Torres asked. Kethvar's science officer whispered the analysis. Conservative estimates suggests human advancement of at least 200 years beyond our capabilities. Possibly more. Admiral, Torres said, your ships are well designed and your crews are skilled, but you're fighting with yesterday's technology against tomorrow's warfare. This isn't a fair contest. The alien admiral looked at the scope of the human fleet surrounding them. Over 1 billion ships, each one apparently superior to his best vessels. His coalition had technological superiority over most galactic species, but compared to humanity, they were primitives. What happens now? Kethvar asked. That depends entirely on your next decision, Torres replied. You can order your fleets to withdraw and return home. Or we can continue these demonstrations until you understand that resistance is impossible. Admiral Kethvar realized he was facing the most advanced military force in known galactic history. The humans had been hiding their true capabilities for centuries, allowing other species to believe they were dealing with primitives. The deception was complete and devastating. The hunt had begun, and humanity held all the advantages. The question was whether the aliens would accept reality or choose to learn it the hard way. Admiral Kethvar sat in his command chair, surrounded by the impossible sight of over 1 billion human warships. His coalition fleet had just been defeated in 8 minutes by a small fraction of humanity's forces. The demonstration had proven that resistance was not just futile, but suicidal. Admiral Torres, he said finally, the hegemony accepts your terms. We will withdraw from human space immediately. But Torres shook his head. I'm afraid it's too late for simple withdrawal, Admiral. This situation has grown beyond our original negotiations. Before Kethvar could respond, his communication systems activated automatically. Every screen in his fleet, from the smallest fighter to the largest battleship, displayed the same image. Fleet Admiral Torres, standing before a backdrop of human ships, stretching to the horizon. Attention, species of the galaxy, Torres began. I am Fleet Admiral Marcus Torres of the Human Defense Initiative. Today, a new chapter in galactic history begins. Across known space, the broadcast reached every inhabited world. Alien civilizations that had never heard of humanity suddenly found themselves listening to a species they had thought primitive and insignificant. For 3 centuries, your leaders have watched human expansion with concern. You wondered about our intentions and capabilities. Today, you have your answers. Torres gestured to the vast fleet visible behind him. "We are not the young, reckless species your intelligence services believed us to be." Admiral Kethvar realized that humanity was announcing itself to the entire galaxy, not just the hegemony. This wasn't about one conflict. It was about changing everything. "We are your guardians," Torres continued. "Whether you chose us or not." The words sent shockwaves through every alien civilization receiving the broadcast. The concept of one species claiming authority over all others was unprecedented in modern galactic politics. "Many of you will ask why humans claim this authority," Torres said. "The answer lies in what we discovered during our first explorations beyond Earth's solar system." The display behind Torres changed to show images of dead worlds. Planets covered in ruins. Systems where all life had ended. The remains of once great civilizations reduced to debris and silence. In our first century of interstellar travel, we found the remains of 17 extinct species, advanced civilizations that had achieved spaceflight, built vast empires, and then destroyed themselves through the same patterns of warfare and competition that define today's galactic politics. Kethvar recognized some of the images. The ruins of the Korthak Empire. Dead, for 2,000 years. The silent worlds of the Velon Confederation. Extinct before most current species had achieved spaceflight. Ancient civilizations that had become legends and cautionary tales. Each of these species followed the same path, Torres explained. Initial expansion. Contact with other civilizations. Competition for resources. Formation of coalitions and alliances. Then inevitable warfare that escalated until entire species were extinct. The galaxy has been trapped in this cycle for millions of years. The broadcast continued with detailed evidence that humanity had been studying galactic politics for centuries. They had identified the patterns, predicted the outcomes, and prepared accordingly. The hegemony of aligned worlds represents the latest iteration of this pattern, Torres said. 12 species united by fear of change, attempting to control galactic development through force. History shows us exactly where this leads. President Chen Wei-lin appeared alongside Torres in the broadcast. She wore the formal robes of Earth's highest office, but her expression was compassionate rather than threatening. "We didn't ask to become galactic guardians," she said. "We're not conquerors seeking empire. We're simply the first species with the wisdom to recognize the cycle and the strength to break it." The display showed evidence of humanity's hidden activities across the galaxy. For 3 centuries, human agents had been quietly monitoring conflicts, preventing wars before they could escalate, and guiding species away from the destructive patterns that had claimed 17 previous civilizations. Every human colony has been positioned to observe and influence galactic politics, President Chen explained. When the Karis Federation and the Vorthak Collective nearly went to war over mining rights in the Kilos system, it was human mediators who secretly arranged the compromise that prevented conflict. Admiral Kethvar remembered that incident. The 2 species had been on the brink of war when unexpected diplomatic solutions had emerged. The hegemony had taken credit for the peace negotiations. When the Zenthari Empire's expansion threatened 3 smaller species, it was human intelligence that leaked information about Zenthari military weaknesses to those species, allowing them to negotiate from positions of strength rather than fear. More examples followed. Dozens of conflicts prevented. Wars stopped before they began. Civilizations guided away from self-destruction. Humanity had been secretly managing galactic politics for generations, always staying hidden, always working to prevent the cycle of extinction from claiming more species. But secret influence is no longer sufficient, Torres said. The formation of the hegemony represents an escalation toward galactic war that could claim billions of lives across hundreds of worlds. We cannot allow the cycle to continue. The Admiral realized he was witnessing the end of one era of galactic civilization and the beginning of another. Humanity was stepping out of the shadows to take direct control of galactic affairs. "We offer every species in the galaxy a choice," President Chen announced. "Join a new confederation based on cooperation, mutual support, and peaceful development. Accept human oversight to ensure that conflicts are resolved before they become wars. Help us build a galaxy where species advancement doesn't require other species' destruction. The alternative was left unspoken but clearly understood. Humanity had demonstrated the capability to enforce their will throughout the galaxy. Their billion-ship fleet was just what they had revealed. There might be more. This is not conquest, Torres emphasized. We have no interest in ruling alien worlds or controlling alien societies. We want only to prevent the warfare that has claimed so many civilizations. Think of us as galactic parents, keeping our children from destroying themselves and each other. Admiral Kethvar opened a private channel to Torres, and if species refuse, if they prefer the current system, then they will discover what happened to the 17 extinct civilizations we studied, Torres replied calmly. Some lessons must be learned the hard way. But we hope wisdom will prevail over pride. The broadcast concluded with practical details. Human representatives would be arriving at every major alien world within the next 10 days. A galactic constitutional convention would be held to establish new rules for interspecies relations. All current conflicts would be suspended pending review by human mediators. We didn't choose this responsibility, President Chen said in her final words. But we're the only species with the perspective to see the patterns and the strength to change them. Welcome to the human peace. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations faced the reality that their familiar political structures had just become obsolete. A species they had considered primitive had revealed itself as the most advanced civilization in known space, and it had claimed authority over everyone else. Admiral Kethvar looked at his tactical display one last time. His 50,000 ships remained surrounded by human vessels that stretched beyond sensor range. The old galaxy of competing coalitions and threatened wars was over. Admiral Torres, he said formally, the hegemony requests permission to begin negotiations for membership in your confederation. Granted, Torres replied. Welcome to a new era, Admiral. One where species learn to grow up instead of growing extinct. Around Earth, Luna continued its slow rotation, its secret revealed, and its purpose fulfilled. The moon that had hidden humanity's greatest achievement now watched over a galaxy beginning its first steps toward a more civilized future. The human peace had begun.